Hey there, and welcome to your first workout. This workout is going to be a full body workout, 4 exercises, probably should only take about 20 minutes, but I'm going to be explaining things as we go, so feel free to fast forward if it's taking a little bit longer than that. All right, first things first, all we're going to need for this workout are a pair of dumbbells, ideally adjustable dumbbells, or a few varied weights, and a bench. Now for this specific workout, a flat bench is fine, but in other workouts I create, at least for home gym programs, you are going to need an adjustable bench, so it can go, up and down like this. Okay, first things first, we're gonna wanna warm up. Now, I will admit, the research around warm-ups is kind of evolving, and even as recently as a month before posting this video, a preprint was released. I'm not gonna get super nerdy about it, but a warm-up might not be absolutely essential in terms of your performance or reducing injury risk or anything like that. However, they're pretty standard, so feel free to do 5 to 10 minutes of low to moderate intensity cardio, something like walking, incline walking, a light jog, jumping jacks, anything to get the heart rate up and get your body warm. Now, it's probably not absolutely essential, but, won't hurt anything. Next, what we're going to do after we're a little bit warmed up is we're just going to do one single warm-up set. Now, again, that recent research may be called into question the validity of these, but I don't think they're going to hurt anything, and it kind of preps you for exactly what you're about to do. I forgot to do an intro for myself. Hi, I'm Alex Teamy. I'm a fitness and nutrition coach, and whether you are watching this to get a tutorial of how to, run through my app with the workout, or this is your first workout ever, I'm happy you're here. And I'm gonna do my best to cover every question that could possibly come to mind, but if you're a part of my program, feel free to drop any questions in the forum, and if you're not a part of my program, what are you doing? No, but seriously, feel free to drop comments in the YouTube video and I'll try to respond to them as I can. To get started with the workout, all we're gonna do is open up the app. And when you open it up, you're gonna see this kind of home page or dashboard. And what we're looking for is at the bottom a tab called Toolkit, and if you're on anything but iPhone, it'll be called On Demand. It's the same thing though. All right, press on the toolkit and scroll down until you get to Workout Collections. Now you may need to swipe around either to these different tabs, or you can go, if it's right there, great. All right, let's click on the home one. Now, this may look a little bit different than what your view looks like because I'm recording this before the program is actually launched, but it'll be in the same place, right? So scroll down until you get to your first workout. This will be at the bottom. And if you want to watch this YouTube video at any time, feel free to press the link right there and you're good. All right, next we're just gonna hit Start Workout. Now, it'll show you kind of an explanation of different things. I'm just gonna hit Never Show Again, but feel free to tap through that. All right, so at the top, you're gonna see this video tutorial, all right? If you press play on that, it'll pop up. You can make it full screen if you want to, just like this, but I'm gonna skip this because, well, I'm doing them. Next, you're gonna see down here, it shows the rep range, 5 to 10, and something called RIR. Now I'll get to that in a second. So this is our first set. We need to know how to pick the right weight. That's a really good question. So we know what exercise we want to do, and now we have to choose a weight. Now, for something like a bent over row, where we're going to be doing this kind of a movement, think about, well, what other movements have I done like that in my life? You've probably maybe picked up a suitcase like this, or a bag off the ground, or maybe some groceries, or something like that. Maybe even a child, right? And maybe we pick up the child more like this, but you get my point. If you've ever picked up a milk jug or anything like that, you can probably do more than 5 to 10 pounds, likely a good bit more than that, but let's just start off light. I'm gonna pick these up, and I'm just gonna go with 20 pounds for now, and I'm gonna see how it feels. And I encourage you to do the same. Just pick up a weight that might be too light, and we're just gonna try out a few reps. All right, so we're hinging at the hips. We're getting about parallel to the ground for this bent over row, and then we're gonna drive our elbows up and back, just like this. And we're really focusing on driving the elbows, and our hands are just there to hold the dumbbells, okay? So let's do maybe, 10 reps or so. And this will be your first warm-up set. It's a lightweight and somewhere in the rep range. Doesn't really matter too much, but 8 to 12 reps is a pretty decent number of reps to do. I have not counted because I've been talking this whole time, but let's say I'm at 11 and I'll do one more, 12. Okay, great. Now, that 8 to 12 rep range for a warm-up set, that's not a firm thing. Feel free to do more, less. I'd probably do at least 6, 7 reps though. Okay, how did that feel? This is a question that you need to ask yourself. Was that too easy? Was that way too hard? If it's way too hard, just drop the weight a little bit, 5, 10 pounds, something like that. But for most of you, you probably selected a weight that was a little bit too light. So let's just give it 60 seconds or so, and then we're gonna go up a little bit. Now, if it was super easy, let's go up 10 pounds. And if it was just kinda easy, let's go up 5 pounds. It was super easy for me, and kind of a cheat code. I know exactly how much I row, well, at least roughly. But I'm gonna go up 10 pounds, okay? And the first time you do this, it will be this kind of guess and check. The story of Goldilocks, I think it's Goldilocks. The porridge is too hot, too cold, just right. That's what we're trying to find. And as you get stronger, obviously the weight and the reps will increase, but the first time you do an exercise, it's really just this guess and check kind of thing. There's no easy way to do it beyond that, although I would say this is pretty easy. All right, let's go ahead and grab the dumbbells again, and let's try this again. All right, so in position, feet are about hip width apart, just like this. We're hinging at the hips, back is roughly parallel to the ground, elbows are staying tucked in tight toward the ribs, and I'm rowing. All right, driving the elbows up and back, just like this. And this is maybe, I lost count, but maybe 8 and 9. I'm gonna do one more. And this is still feeling very easy for me. Now, was it too easy for you? Was it too hard? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save us all some time, and I'm gonna grab some dumbbells that I know are pretty difficult for me, because I wanna talk about the next part of this, which is RIR, or reps in reserve. So feel free to grab a drink of water and just listen to me for a second. Feel free to pause the video at any time if you need to. RIR stands for reps in reserve. It's basically how many reps you have left in the tank at the end of a set. Let's say I was doing these rows and I grabbed really heavy dumbbells. And let's say I got to 6, 7, 8, and I'm trying as hard as I can. 9, and maybe I go one more, 10, and I think, whew, I put the dumbbells down. I think there's no way that I could have done one single more rep. No way. That would be 0 reps in reserve. I had 0 reps left in the tank, right? Now, if I stopped at 9 and I felt like, I think I could have done one more. I put the dumbbells down at 9 reps. I think, okay, I could have done one more. That would be 1 rep in reserve. So it's just a measure of the intensity of a given set, all right? So I'm gonna grab some heavier dumbbells. All right, let's go ahead and assume that you're ready for your first working set. You've tried out a few weights and you've gotten to a point where, I think it could be moderately challenging or, pretty challenging for 5 to 10 and maybe slightly above that reps. All right, let's go ahead and do it. Now, this is gonna be a real set for me. I don't know how many reps I can do of this, but I'm just gonna keep going until I can't. Grab your dumbbells, get up into position, push those hips back, and let's row. It's getting pretty difficult. I'm gonna try for one more. I don't know if I'll be able to get it though. Nope. I couldn't get it. So I don't know how many reps I did because I wasn't counting. I do want you to count. But let's say I did 10 reps and maybe I failed on the 11th. So I completed 10 reps and that was 0 RIR. Let me catch my breath real quick. All right, your first working set. How did that feel? Probably pretty hard, right? That's the goal at least. Now, I went to 0 RIR. I went all the way to failure. It's totally okay to do that from time to time, but there are drawbacks to doing that. When you go all the way to failure, it's more fatiguing. You might have more soreness. It might take, just more time for your body to recover, especially that target muscle group. In general, I recommend people stick to around 1 to 2 or 0 to 2 RIR. probably biasing most of that to 1 to 2 RIR. Now, the first time you do a movement, you might think like, dude, I have no clue how to gauge this. This is all new to me. It's totally fine. You're not gonna mess this up. If you're way too far away from failure, you're gonna get a little bit less muscle growth. And if you're all the way to failure, you're still gonna get great muscle growth, but it does come with a little bit more fatigue. So there's kind of a balance to be had there. If somebody's taking every single set of every single workout all the way to failure, they might run into recovery issues over time. So just by leaving 1 or 2 reps in the tank, you improve your likelihood to be able to recover between workouts. Now, after you do that first set, all you need to do is go ahead and track it in the app. So there's gonna be this set 1 and set 2. We're just doing 2 sets per exercise here. And for weight, I'm gonna put in, okay, 70 pounds. Now you might be thinking, okay, wait, are these 70-pound dumbbells or are these 35-pound dumbbells? Some people prefer tracking weight as both weights. So these are indeed 70-pound dumbbells. Do you want to track it as 70 pounds or 140 pounds? Because you rode total 140. That's totally up to you. The point of tracking is just to see progress over time. Pick one method and stick with it. I prefer just picking the singular dumbbell. That way I know exactly which one to grab. There's no division required, even though it's just divided by 2. Not too complicated. Then we're gonna put in the number of reps we did, okay? I think I did 10. Normally I would count, but because I'm like doing this, you guys know. But maybe it was 9, maybe it was 10. Let's just say it was 10. And then I'm gonna hit this check mark right here. Now, a little nice rest timer pops up, and go ahead and rest for that time. You've probably already rested for that time because you've been hearing me talk. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit skip. All right, next set, let's do it. So same thing here. Let's pick up those dumbbells, and if the last set was too easy for you, go ahead and grab heavier dumbbells, okay? All right, I'm gonna pick these up. Get into position. All right. That time, I intentionally left 1 rep left in the tank. Now, it's kind of a guessing game. Do I know for sure that I could have only gotten 1 more? No, maybe I could have gotten 2. But I know it was getting difficult, and it was pretty close. And the more you do a certain exercise, or just lifting in general, the better you'll be at estimating that RIR, or that rep in reserve. One note on rest times. I would definitely recommend resting at least 60 seconds between each set. Ideally 90 seconds, maybe even more if you need it, is totally fine. And if you feel like you don't need at least 60 seconds, I challenge you to increase your reps or increase your weight. I'd bet if you do not need rest, that you're not pushing yourself hard enough. Pushing yourself close to failure is one of, if not the most important thing in order to stimulate muscle into growing. If you're constantly leaving, sandbagging sets and leaving 10 plus reps in reserve, muscle growth is going to be a very, very slow, if not non-existent process. And if while doing that exercise, you were either way below or way above the rep range on a given set, let's say, the rep range is 5 to 10 reps, you get to 10, what do? Just keep going, no problem. Go to 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now if you get to 20, 25, 30, maybe call it and stop the set and increase the weight for the next set. But this is all you have to do, this kind of Goldilocks thing that I was talking about earlier. Feel free, if you get to 3 reps and you're tapped, that's it, lower the weight, right, for the next set. And if you are way above the rep range, then just increase the weight. But if you're just slightly outside of the rep range, you're at 4 reps instead of 5, or you're at 12 or 13 reps instead of 10, that's totally fine. Not a big deal. Just adjust on the next set. All right, once again, we're gonna go in here and we're gonna track our weight. So I did 70 and I did 9 reps. All right, now go ahead and rest for the target time. I'm sure you've already done that. I'm gonna hit skip timer. And that takes us to the next exercise, dumbbell bench press. All right, let's go ahead and get our bench in place. All right, so once again, let's just go ahead and do 1 warm-up set, at least just to get a feeling of what the movement is like. So pick a weight that you think you could definitely do. Again, same thing with the bent over rows. Just pick a weight that You know, maybe it's a little too light. We can always go up though. So I'm going to pick 30s. A lot of you, maybe pick 10, 15, 20 pounds maybe. If you're somebody who's able to do a few push-ups or you've done bench press in the past before, maybe you can go quite a bit heavier than that. But it's always a good idea to start light, get the movement down, and then increase the weight if you can. Now the way I like setting up for this is I put the dumbbells on my legs just like this, and then I sit down. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slowly lean back, and my legs are coming with me, and now the dumbbells are in position just like this. Okay, now all I'm gonna do, keep my elbows tucked to about 45 degrees. You'll see me talk about this in the form video that's attached to the exercise, and I'm gonna press up just like this, and down and up, down and up. And notice I'm not doing any kind of, quick frantic movements. I'm controlling on the way down and then pressing up. The tempo doesn't matter all that much as long as we're controlling the eccentric or the lowering portion just like this, and then controlling to a degree the concentric or pushing motion just like this. I like to push a little bit faster than I descend. There's a reason for this that I don't know if I necessarily want to get into on this video. Let's do one more rep. All right, there we go. And for my dismount, I put my dumbbells just like this, parallel to each other, bring my legs up, and there we go, easy dismount. Let's rest for 60 to 90 seconds, and then we're going to grab heavier dumbbells if needed. Now, if that was a good weight for you, no problem. That was your first working set. But for most of you, you probably used a weight that was way too light. Feel free to go up 5, 10, 15, 20, however many pounds. You don't have to be too ambitious about this. You can make small jumps and kind of build that confidence as you go. Before we move on, if you ever want to check your history of an exercise, if you press this button right here, the arrow with the check mark inside of it, you can see your exercise history. So you'll know, what did I do last time I did this exercise? Really convenient, that way you don't have to play this Goldilocks game every single time. Also a big perk of tracking. If you want to add in any exercises to a workout, feel free to press this button. And if you want to add a set or replace this exercise, go ahead and press the 3 dots and that'll do it for you. All right, let's do our first working set of the dumbbell bench press. So I'm going to grab some heavier weights. All right, pick them up, put them on your thighs, sit down, and now we're gonna lean back. Remember, keeping your legs against the dumbbells, just like this. All right, starting at the bottom position, and we're pressing up. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, it's getting pretty hard. 13, I'm gonna try one more. 14, nice. And let's dismount. Oh, shit. If you take your sets close to failure, that could happen. It's no problem. Not the most graceful dismount, but these things happen. All right, we're gonna go ahead and track. And again, 70-pound dumbbells, do you track it at 70 or 140? Doesn't matter, leave it up to you. I track it as the singular dumbbell. I think I did 13, so go ahead and enter that, and then hit the check mark. All right, once you've rested for about 90 seconds, give or take, let's go ahead and do it again for our second set. Now, if you had a very lacking, not disgraceful, but not a pretty dismount like I had, all you're gonna do is just kind of reset the dumbbells to get them back into an easier position. So I just kind of scoot them along just like this. If you're using lighter dumbbells, this might not be as big of a thing, but once you start getting heavy enough, yeah, not everything looks super pretty all the time. All right, picking it up, again, on the thighs, and let's go. Lean back, and we're in position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, getting pretty hard. 9, let's do one more. 10, control down, and I'm just gonna draw them to the side, just like that. If you can do the pretty dismount, going like this, great, more power to you. These are a little bit too heavy for me to do that right now. So we're going back to the app, we're typing in, again, 70 pounds, and I think I did 10 reps that time. I'm so bad at counting when I'm doing all this. I'm trying to think about what to say next. Anyway, one thing you might notice is on the previous exercise and this current exercise is that reps went down as we did another set. So I did 70 for 10 and then for 9 on the bent over row. And here I did 70 for 13 and then 10 on the bench press. This is very normal. As you start to fatigue a little bit more, especially if you're pushing yourself close to your limits, performance usually decreases on subsequent sets. Now this isn't always the case. Maybe you could get 10, 10, 10 reps on 3 subsequent sets. It's not super abnormal, but I would say more often than not, as a coach, I am looking for my clients to get this kind of descending thing. Not intentionally, but just by an artifact of them pushing themselves close to failure and generating some of that fatigue. All right, we hit check mark, and let's swipe over to our next exercise, heel elevated dumbbell squat. We won't need this bench anymore, so we can go ahead and slide this out of the way. Now for this exercise, it's really helpful to have heel wedges like this. You can just get them on Amazon or really anywhere. But the nice thing about them is that, as the name implies, they elevate your heels. Let me move this out of the way. They elevate your heels so that ankle mobility isn't the limiting factor in knee flexion. That's a lot of words I just threw out there, but basically it means that my hamstring can touch my calf at the bottom of a squat because my ankle mobility isn't limited anymore, okay? Or isn't limiting that range of motion anymore, rather. What this does when I can get this big degree of knee flexion is it puts a big stretch on the quads. So it's a great exercise for the front of your thighs, the quadriceps. All right, let's go ahead. Oh, and if you don't have heel wedges, you can use anything. A 2x4, a stack of magazines or stack of books. Really, anything works, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and do a few warm-up reps. So I'm focusing on driving my knees forward, just like this. Not necessarily bouncing out of the bottom, but not a long pause either. Maybe just a quarter-second pause. And I'm driving through my entire foot to push myself back upright. And on the way down, I'm driving my knees forward. The hamstrings should get very close to touching the calves or just straight up touching the calves at the bottom. Let's go ahead and do 3 more reps. 1, 2, and 3. All right, let's rest for 60 to 90 seconds and let's use some weight. All right, once we feel like we are rested after a good 60 to 90 seconds, let's go ahead and get our weights into position. I like putting them on both sides of where my feet will be. That way I can go down and just squat right up. All right, let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's try for one more. 8, and slow down. Nice. All right, got 8 reps. Really happy with that. And I think maybe I had 1 to 2 left in the tank, 1 to 2 reps in reserve. That's exactly where I wanted to be. So I'm feeling really good about that. Let's go ahead and track it. So again, 70-pound dumbbells. I personally am just gonna track this as 70, and I got 8 reps. The rep range of this was 7 to 12. If I was way above that rep range, what would I do? I'd increase the weight. And if I was way below the rep range, I would decrease the weight. Now I'm in that rep range, all good. This next one, I think it's possible that I could only get 6 or 7 reps. I'm totally okay with that. It's not a big deal. The rep ranges are pretty flexible, pretty fluid. Don't think of them as static targets that you need to hit. The RIR targets are so much more important. Tracking your workouts in an app like this or whatever is a really good idea so that you can see your progress over time, and so that next time you go to do these same exercises, you know how you performed. Now, you're not always going to get a PR, a personal record, or a personal best PB every single time you exercise or every single time you do a similar exercise, but you should be progressing maybe over the course of a month or so. Now, your rate of progression as a beginner will be much faster than your rate of progression as an intermediate or advanced, somebody who's been lifting for 3, 5, 10 plus years. They are going to progress quite a bit slower. But try not to get beat up if next week, let's say you get 20 for 10, next week you get 20 for 9. That doesn't mean you did anything wrong, because maybe you're just a little more tired, a little more fatigued that day. Try again next week, see what you get. I think you'd probably get 20 for 11, 20 for 12 maybe. As often as possible when we're thinking about our body weight, our measurements, our performance in the gym, try to zoom out. We have these day-to-day fluctuations, even week-to-week fluctuations, that someday we're gonna be feeling our best, and some days we're gonna be feeling our worst. So just try to zoom out as much as possible and look at a weekly, monthly trend. All right, let's go ahead and start with set number 2. So again, feet about hip width apart, heels are on the heel wedges or elevated somehow, and then balls of the feet are on the ground. I'm going down, and let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's get one more. 7. Nice. Oh. So again, I think I was very much 1 to 2 RIR there. Really happy with my performance on that. I hope that for anybody following along with this, that you aren't stopping at the same reps that I'm stopping at. I'm stopping at these, whatever rep count, because I've hit that point where I cannot do that many more. That's where I would like you to be taking your sets, is to the point where it is very, very difficult, and maybe you could only get 1 or 2 more, if not 0 more, taking it all the way to failure. All right, let's go ahead and track the set. So again, 70 pounds. I think I did 7 reps. Check mark. Let's rest. And I do think it is important to take your sets all the way to failure occasionally, not every workout, but from time to time, so that you get to know, okay, what are my limits? Am I pushing myself hard enough, Let's say you're doing bicep curls or something, and you're doing 20 pounds, 10 reps, and that's just what you do day in, day out. First off, you're not pushing yourself to progress, so your body doesn't really have a reason to adapt, right? If that's all you did, 20 pounds for 10 reps for years. But now, what if you came into the gym and you said, all right, I'll do my first set, 20 pounds for 10 reps, this second set, or this third set, or whatever, I'm gonna do as many as I can until I physically cannot do any more. And what if you got 20 reps or 20 pounds for 15 or 20 reps? Now it's like, okay, now I know what my limits are. Here's kind of roughly where I need to be shooting. You get to feel what getting close to failure is like, and you get to see what your performance is like when you really push yourself. If at any time during any of these movements, something is hurting, your knees, your back, your elbow, your shoulder, whatever it is, just stop and reassess. Just take a moment to think about it. My first guess is that you were not prepared for that weight, that range of motion, the combination of the two. And so what that means is that if you decrease the weight, let's say I was doing those heel elevated squats, 70 pounds too much, I'm feeling some knee pain, okay, let's drop it to 20 pounds, for example. Do I still have pain? No. If I don't, then just keep building up. If I still have pain, then I reduce the weight until I don't. If I still have pain doing body weight only, then what I would do is use some assistance. Maybe I'd hold on to a bench and go down just like that, maybe with a less extreme range of motion. I don't want to call that range of motion extreme, it's a very normal range of motion, but not as full of a range of motion. And if none of that was working, I would make sure that I am warmed up enough that the joints aren't feeling too cold. So, I would maybe do some body weight squats or something like that to just try to get some blood flow and get the joints a little bit warmer. And discomfort is different than pain. Discomfort, When I was doing those heel elevated squats, definitely not the most comfortable thing. I'd rather just kind of be sitting on the couch and things like that, but exercise is good for us, right? So that discomfort, I know it's gonna grow my legs, both the muscle, the strength, but if you're having any sharp pains, yeah, decrease the load, reduce the range of motion, and maybe just put it on the back burner for today and revisit this movement on another day. Dumbbell Romanian deadlifts. So again, you can watch the video on this. Let's do a warm-up set. All right, grab a weight that you think is pretty doable for yourself. Again, this is a movement, this kind of a movement, we're doing this all the time. Maybe we're helping a friend move their couch or heavy piece of furniture. Maybe we are picking up a grandchild or child off the ground, right? This movement, it's called the deadlift. That could be kind of a scary word, scary term for a lot of people. This is a very normal movement. It's a hip hinging movement. So we're hinging with our hips just like this. And if this is a difficult movement for you to do, what I'd like you to do is pretend this is a wall, okay? A wall, a pole, something like that. And all I'm gonna do is I'm going to stand real close to it, take 1/2 step forward, just like this, maybe one step. And what I'm gonna do is pretend like I have hands full of groceries, right? And I wanna shut the car door behind me. This is the car door. How would we do that? Well, we'd push our hips back. Boom, just like that. Shutting the car door, just like that. Now notice, as our hips come back, the torso has to come forward, right? Just like this. This is to make sure that we're keeping balance over our feet. If I didn't do this, if I just push my hips back, I'm gonna fall backward. So it's this tabletop kind of thing, this seesaw pattern, right? All right, once you feel like you've gotten that movement down, let's go ahead and do a warm-up set. So let's grab some weight that you think you could easily do. Perhaps this is 10, 15, 20, 30 pounds. It'll be different for every single person watching this video. All right, let's go ahead and grab them. And what we're gonna do is keep our chin tucked. This is actually a big thing. This is something a lot of people mess up. When they go down, they have a mirror or something in front of them they like to look at. And what happens here is they go like this. Notice that my cervical spine is no longer neutral. That's not necessarily a huge deal, but what I find can happen is when people do this and the cervical spine is no longer neutral, they start to arch their back a lot. They kind of lose that neutrality in the spine. Again, maybe not a huge deal, but in my experience, this takes away from the glute stimulus, which is the primary target muscle for this movement. So what I'd like you to do, if you have trouble with that, pick a spot on the ground. I'm gonna choose this dumbbell. You could put a quarter down, a shoe. You could even bite your shirt, just like this. Anything works, really. But we're gonna go ahead, pick up the dumbbells, and push those hips back, just like this. And keeping an eye on that quarter, that dumbbell, that spot on the ground, whatever it is. All right, let's go ahead and do somewhere between 8 to 12 reps. Get a nice warm up, okay? I believe is 5, 6, 7. Feel free to do as many as you need. I'm gonna stop it there. All right, let's rest for about 90 seconds, 2 minutes if you need it, and feel free to rest even longer if you'd like to, but I really strongly encourage you to rest for at least 60 to 90 seconds, okay? Once we feel that we're properly rested, let's go ahead and get our heavier dumbbells, if necessary, into position. Now, if that weight felt good for you, great. You can move right into a working set, okay? But for a lot of you, I'm sure you went a little bit too light, and now it's time to go a little bit heavier. One thing you might experience, for those of you who have strong glutes, strong spinal erectors, a little bit of strong hamstrings, is your grip may be, it might give out. If that's the case, you can get wrist straps, just like these. What you're gonna do is get them and loop them around, and then you can use them to keep real tight grip of the dumbbell. And these things are not going anywhere once you have them looped up. All right, we're ready to do our first working set of our last exercise. We're almost there, home stretch. Okay, go down, pick them up, hip width, and let's go. Push the hips back. 1, hips back. 2, and we're focused on that spot. We're keeping our chin tucked, cervical spine neutral. I think that's like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I can get one more, and 10, and lower them. Nice. That is a movement that everybody should be training. Deadlift of some kind, a hip hinge, really, of some kind. It doesn't have to be deadlifts necessarily, but that's a movement we're going to be doing for the rest of our lives, so it's a good idea to maintain or gain strength with it. And the Romanian deadlift in particular is a phenomenal glute builder. All right, let's go ahead and track it. So again, 70 pounds, and I don't remember how many reps I did. I'd have to check the video, but let's say 10. You'll know how many reps you did, I'm sure. Now, I would say it's pretty abnormal to use the same weight on every single exercise like I've done here. The main reason for that is because I don't have dumbbells that are heavier than 70 pounds. Otherwise, I probably would go heavier on some of these things. But for you, maybe you use 20 pounds on one, 35 pounds on another, 15 pounds on another. Different muscle groups, different movements, we're gonna have different strength, right? I'm not gonna be able to curl 70 pounds. No, I probably can't curl 70 pounds, but I can row 70 pounds, right? Because it's using my back, it's using a little bit of my biceps, maybe a little bit of rear delt. So we're having bigger muscles kind of contribute and potentially multiple muscles contribute. So one exercise in particular that everybody's typically pretty weak at is a lateral raise, but it's because one, this moment arm is really long. For my physics people out there, the lever is very long, right? And the side delt doesn't have great leverage. So it's a harder movement to progress on. Going from 5 to 10 pounds, it doesn't seem like that much, but you're doubling the weight. If you run my programs, you're gonna do lateral raises eventually, if not in the cycle that we are in right now, whenever you're joining. And if you haven't joined, again, what are you doing? So one thing to talk about before we get into our last exercise is what to expect after this. Now after this, you're probably gonna feel pretty good about yourself. I hope you do at least, because you put in work to improve your physical fitness, to improve your mental health, to improve your mobility, your strength, all these things, right? So I hope you feel really good about that. But the dark side of this, the soreness, especially if this is your first time working out in a while or ever, soreness tomorrow could be pretty intense. And the next day could be pretty intense as well. Now I got some good news here. First, the first 48 hours, 36 to 48 hours, that's where soreness peaks. After that, it'll dissipate very quickly. And even better news, there's something called the repeated bout effect, which is where we repeat bouts of the same exercise. The muscle gets a protective effect where we experience less soreness or less delayed onset muscle soreness, DOMS, you may have heard of. So if you come back and you do this workout again, or you're just continuing exercise again, you're gonna notice that you're not as sore as you were this first time. If you are somebody who gets chronically sore, leave a little bit in the tank. Instead of going to 0 reps in reserve, leave 1, 2 reps in reserve. Remember that fatigue that we talked about earlier? That's a really great way to manage that fatigue that accumulates. All right, let's do our second set and then stick around for just 60 seconds. I have one last parting note to impart upon you. All right, let's pick up our dumbbells for our last set of the workout. Let's do this, finish strong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let me get one more. 9. And control down. Oh. Woo. Awesome job. Way to go. I'm really stoked for you. Thank you for doing this along with me. And like I said, just stick around for 1 second. I got one more thing. Again, congratulations on finishing, whether it's your first workout ever, your first workout in a while, or this is just one of 100 or 1,000 that you've done in the past. Way to go. Well done. Nice job. You don't need to do any specific cool down. Our body will return to baseline or homeostasis on its own, so nothing to do there. If you're already in the Change Project, thanks for being here. I made this video so that you would feel comfortable and confident getting into your first workout. And I'm so pumped to have you as part of the team. Keep showing up, keep engaging, and remember, you don't need to be perfect to see progress. That's the opposite of everything I stand for. And if you're on YouTube watching this and you're not a part of my program yet, here's the quick version of what my program, The Change Project, is all about. The Change Project is an exercise, nutrition, and habits program that is meant to help you gain muscle, lose body fat, build habits, and create a system that actually works with your life. You'll get access to structured training programs, tools to help you track your progress, and support that actually makes sense for your real life. If that sounds like something that you've been missing, check out the link in the description for more info. All right, take care, guys.